Discover raw, inspiring stories from runners who've been right where you are. This is the Choose to Endure Ultra Running Podcast with your host.
He's English, not Australian.
Richard Gleave.
Welcome back to Choose to Endure, the show dedicated to the back-of-the-pack ultra runners, where we share stories, interviews, gear, and training tips specific to the non-elite heroes of the ultra universe. If you haven't had a moment to do so yet, please consider heading over to your favorite podcast app, hit follow, rate the show, and if you're getting something of value, leave a review and let others know about it. You can also now shoot me a text message, actually, if you like, straight from the show notes, which is a pretty cool new feature. My name's Richard Gleave. I've been running ultras since 2017. I have taken on and finished numerous ultra distances all the way up through 220 miles, and I am unashamedly a member of the back of the pack, just like many of you. Now, this being a bonus episode, not a regular season episode, I am sitting here on a pretty gloomy, wet evening, sipping on a hazy beer hug, which is a 6.8% hazy IPA from Goose Island. I acquired this beer from a certain Mr. Jonathan Prosser as part of a beer swap during our recent 72-hour race that we ran together out at The Sticks in Kansas, put on by the wonderful folks over at Ultraverse Supplements. So cheers to you, Mr. Prosser. Jonathan is getting ready for his first 200-mile attempt out at the Summit 200 here in July. What a race to pick as your first 200. Good luck to Jonathan and everyone else doing that one. Now, as we approach the end of Season 1 of the show, and I began looking ahead to Season 2, I received a fantastic suggestion from a listener to create an episode exploring the why behind ultra running. So I figured, why not give it a whirl in a bonus episode such as this one? This is essentially you talking to you as listeners. Why do we choose to push our bodies and minds to the limit? What do we gain from these extraordinary challenges we spend so much time and effort going out there to do? Behind every runner is a unique story, a reason that drives you to lace up your shoes and hit the trails, often for hours on end. For some, it's about personal growth and overcoming adversity. For others, it's the sense of community and the friendships formed along the way. And for many, it's the simple love of nature and the outdoors. So in this bonus episode today, we'll dive into these personal motivations that drive us to take on ultramarathons. I reached out to our community, the Choose to Endure community, on Instagram, Facebook, and over on Reddit, and I asked people if they were comfortable to share their why. And the responses were incredible. Each one is a unique story of endurance, growth, and passion. As a back-of-the-pack ultra runner myself, I often find the most meaningful conversations happen during races, where we share our struggles, we're pretty open with each other, we share our triumphs, and we talk about the reasons we keep coming back for more. So today, I'm super excited to share some of your stories with you. These personal reflections not only highlight the diversity of motivations, but also the common threads that unite us as ultra runners. So whether it's managing anxiety or exploring unknown places or developing a positive mindset, our reasons for running appear deeply personal, yet universally resonant, and are as applicable to elites as they are to back-of-the-packers like us. So without further ado, and honestly with no real idea how this is going to turn out, let's jump in and hear directly from you, the listeners to the show, about what inspires you to keep enduring during those races. So we'll start with Mr. Glenn McCrill. Hi, Glenn. He is a great friend and one-third of the marvelous McCrills, as I'm going to call them, with his wife, Agatha, and their ultra-running daughter, Aurora. Glenn wrote, "Why? Because of my faith. I believe God created me to use the talents created within me and to love others' talents exactly as they are. The welcoming attitude of the trail ultra community is way different than the road community. I appreciate that elites, and he cites Wes Rittner in here, actually truly care and want to see and learn from those that choose to endure. The entire community is supportive. This weekend, I guess when he was writing this, I got to crew along with Aurora, Vicky Allen, and Agatha at the Sedona 125. I'll take my running gear in case God's plan is different than our plan. Also, I got to know people like Casey Sanders, who appeared in Season 1, and Dave Sandry, as well as my wife. Not for who we are day to day, but for who we truly are as humans out on the trail. So thank you, Glenn, for sharing that comment. Next comment came from Dave Sandry. This was a Facebook comment. When people ask me why I enjoy ultras, the main thing I usually talk about is the amazing people I've met and been able to become friends with. I always tell them about how amazing it is to get to meet folks. Glenn McCrill, Agatha McCrill, Casey Sanders, meeting the three of you at Bigfoot made that race a huge success for me, even though I didn't finish the race. The three of you are exactly what makes the ultra running community so amazing. Dave, thank you very much for sharing that. I really appreciate you taking the time out, and I'm glad you're getting some sense of community from the folks you meet on the trail. Next up, Mr. Garrett Frederick. You might remember Garrett. He's from the Trail Trash podcast. And Garrett says, my why is pretty simple, to show myself that I can do hard things, and also want to show my daughter that she can do incredibly brave things too, with the right preparation. So thanks, Garrett. Very poignant. Next comes from Mr. Stephen Dents. Now, I met Stephen when we did the Swami Shuffle together back in February. Stephen writes, my why, I went through a difficult first marriage, gave up on myself, going through the motions of life, finally had enough and needed or wanted to complete something that I started. Self-loathing can keep you in a perpetual spin cycle. In order to break these chains, I started running, a few feet at a time, and after a while, a whole mile without stopping. Every day is a blessing. Find something that challenges and excites you. Brilliant. Thank you, Stephen. Very personal and very open, but I totally appreciate you sharing. Great job. Next, I heard from Lisa Decker. Now, Lisa is a local runner here in my direct area and somebody who I've spent some time on the trails with in the past. Lisa says, why? Because this community has welcomed me with open arms from the very start. Am I fast? Nope. Do I look like a runner? What is that anyway? No matter the distance or pace, I have a tribe of people who want to see me finish. The first time I felt I belonged anywhere, and I honestly don't know where I would be or who I would be without this community. Why? Because I love how at peace I feel being outside. It truly is my therapy session. I also get to explore some amazing places and see some beautiful landscapes. Why? To prove how strong I am, to see what I'm capable of, to do hard things. Sometimes I succeed and sometimes I fail and I get to try again. But I never imagined how much trail and ultra running would be a part of my life, and now it's pretty much who I am, or at least a big part anyway. So thank you, Lisa. Some great reasons, some great whys there. Wendy Peters also sent me a note. Now, Wendy is part of the first running group I ever joined, actually, here in Kingwood, the Kingwood Fit Marathon training group. So she's out there still doing her thing, and I think training for some triathlons right now. But she says, why? Because I'm afraid. And then when I do it, whatever the thing is, the reality of what I did sets in. The reality of, yes, I did it. This is where I am now as I sign up for sprint triathlons. I'm learning that it's the journey. So why? Because I'm learning that I can, no matter how slow I am. I did this. Me. So congrats, Wendy. I hope your training goes well for the triathlons, and I appreciate you sharing your message. I also heard from quite a few people on Reddit. So I'm going to read these aloud too. along with their Reddit usernames, if I can pronounce them. But there's some really good stuff in here too. So from Reddit, Commonplace User wrote, "My why for running ultras is not only because I want to challenge myself mentally and physically, but mainly because I have the goal of hiking the AT, Colorado Trail, CDT, PCT at some point in my life, but I don't really want to take half the year to do it. So I'm trying to train my body to a level where I can comfortably get 20 to 30 miles in a day of slow packing. That way, I can do these long-haul trails in half the time. I could spend an easy 5 minutes on how and why I fell in love with spending a long time in the woods. We're all pretty similar, crazy people, but we all have our specific reasons for doing what we do." So thank you, Commonplace User. Another Reddit user, TheBravestChicken, whose username I really like there. "If I don't have competition in my life, I go off the rails with bad habits. I grew up in combat sports alongside running, but years of getting hit in the head narrowed it down to just running. Road marathon training is too much strain on the body year-round, so I bumped up to ultra running for some more easy mileage. It also gives me a good excuse to take frequent vacations from work. My co-workers and employer have a hard time giving me heck for taking time off for fitness events, since a vast majority of my industry is obese and out of shape." So thank you, Bravest Chicken. Very brave of you to share, and I appreciate the thoughts. Also from Reddit, Captain Hemingway. Brilliant. His why, or her why, I'm not sure, to celebrate life and living. I was addicted to drugs and alcohol for over a quarter of a decade before I got sober, and somehow now I'm able to run incredibly long distances, see and do incredible things, and have adventures never in my wildest imaginings. I am grateful for every second for the opportunity and blessings of life, legs, and health. Next up, TJ Fenton 12. Hello, TJ Fenton 12. Thank you for submitting a why. TJ Fenton's why: "I want to figure out how to strip everything else away and see what I'm made of at my core. It feels like most things in my life have had at least a small bit of something external fueling whatever I'm doing. I think running long distances will eventually strip away everything else to where it's just me, the course, and the finish line. And I want to know what that feels like to do something like that, where it's just left to me to get it done." I think that's really cool, and that's definitely something you'll find through ultras. So thank you, TJ, for submitting that. Here's an interesting one from Remote Beyond. "Sounds awful, but I just wanted to prove I'm better than people think of me. Faced a lot of rejection, and I just want to do something that makes me proud of myself." It's a little different take there, but I kind of like it, and very raw, very honest. Thank you, Remote Beyond, for sharing your why. And here's a longer one. Future Painting 9219. Future Painting writes, "I could write a book. I've been healing from CPTSD from a very dysfunctional childhood, lots of emotional trauma. Running has always been in the background. It comes and it goes. A few years back, I started therapy, and I also started sports at 40. Swimming came first, then ballet, which was a dream come true. Then we sold everything and hit the road to, kind of live life. We're road schoolers now, so on the road, I had running. I've run into and out of several national parks, and I started with some road races. By March, I completed a half, and then I did the UTMB Desert Rats 10K in Fuchsia, Colorado. Something woke up in my soul that day, and I haven't been able to get enough since, but it's healing my mind. I'm doing things and functioning in a way that absolutely blows my mind nowadays. My goal is a 100-mile ultra, and I'm doing it for all those who suffered trauma at the hands of our parents or loved ones. I'm running to show that we can change, we can heal, we can become so much more than what we ever considered. I'm crushing my trauma these days. I'm a better person. I'm a better mom. I have way more emotional intelligence than I did just 3 years ago. I love to run. It brings me joy. It has also saved my life, and I would love to tell the whole story. Wow, that's pretty intense. Thank you, Future Painting, and congratulations on getting through and finding something to get yourself past some of the trauma. Kind of on the back of that one, Apprehensive Cut also wrote, I relate to this so hard. I've been healing from CPTSD too, with lots of therapy, of course, and running, which has been a constant in my life, whether I was paying attention to it or not. I grew up Mormon, left the church at 19, moved to a big city after living in Colorado my whole life, and would find myself running after my art classes. I made my way to LA because I missed the mountains and would run on my lunch break every so often, or to and from school because I didn't have a car. I then found out I was gay while at work one day and went straight to the trails to run just to process my new identity. I was in jeans and Vans, just running as hard as I could, up a trail, trying to figure out how to be okay with myself and trying not to freak out, since most of my family is homophobic. After that day, I'd go to the trails every day after work and just start running. No watch, no mile goal, just needed to move and just be. Now I'm engaged, I'm living in the mountains, and I'm training for races I never thought I would be capable of doing. Life is funny and never the same, but running has always been there for me. It has allowed me to be present, embrace joy and hard times, and just be human. Again, what a phenomenally personal post. Thank you so much, Apprehensive Cut, for sharing. Really appreciate and salute your approach to ultra running and your why. We also had Icy Trash give us their why. Being 48, it's very satisfying to discover your body can do things it couldn't 20 years ago. I enjoy the process of training, planning, anticipating, and the fear that maybe this is the race where it all goes wrong. That's very motivating. The sense of accomplishment when you cross that line is way better than any marathon or road race I've ever run. And while I'm sure there are a-holes out there, the vibe at these trail ultras are so much better than road races. Don't even get me started on these oases in the middle of the woods that serve pancakes and potatoes and send you on your way. I'm not the least bit surprised at how the sport continues to grow. Amen to that. Gotta love some pancakes and potatoes in the woods. Thank you, Icy Trash. And as we get close to the end here, Piggy Goes Wee is the next Reddit user with one of the best names out there. Read a book at a library and had just finished training for a marathon and running it. Did a 50K and then began trail running. I'm trail running now and I've done a 50-miler and a couple more 50Ks. I might sign up for a 100-miler, but I'm very in love with the me time, the think time, and the being in nature time. Yes, indeed. I think, Piggy, that is something we all fell in love with as part of ultra running. And then Jack Frost 9P rounds us out. Honestly, I feel like I lost my why. I dropped out of my last 200s. I haven't finished an ultra since 2018, which was Grindstone 100-miler. From 2013 to 18, I finished 10 hundreds, and my why was proving to myself I could do really hard things, as this was nothing compared to my family members battling illness and cancer. Unfortunately, they've since passed. My life's turned upside down since then, and it's hard to find a why these days. Some of it is I feel like there's nothing left to prove to myself in the running world. Maybe someday I'll find my mojo again, but it's awfully hard to finish 100 miles without a strong why. Not giving in to demons at mile 80 is too tough if you don't have a big reason to dig deep. So a very honest and different approach to a why there from Jack Frost. But thank you again, whomever you are out there, for choosing to respond and putting yourself out there. What about me, you ask? Your own Richard Gleave. Okay, I'll be open and share mine with you. I did so on the Facebook post. For me, My why is all about a few things: managing anxiety, which I've had my whole life, increasing self-belief, something I've been afflicted with since I was a kid. I just don't have great self-belief, and I'm trying to increase confidence in myself by going out there and finishing these things that seem ridiculously long. I'm also doing it for the challenge. I'm doing it to teach myself discipline. I'm doing it to explore unknown places. And I'm doing it to find friendships with people who have shared values. I'm doing it for personal growth. And lastly, and certainly not leastly, if that's even a word, I am doing it to continue to develop and maintain a positivity mindset in a world that I find increasingly negative. So that's me. And there you have it, a collection of personal whys from our incredible ultra running community. Each of those stories is a testament to the power of endurance, the strength of human spirit, and the profound impact that ultra running can have on our lives. Whether it's for personal growth, overcoming adversity, finding community, or simply the love of nature, our reasons for running ultras are apparently as unique as we are. Huge thank you to everyone who took a chance and shared their why with us in public. Look out for more questions and more bonus episodes covering the answers out on the various social platforms. These are an opportunity for you to have your say and be a part of this podcast community. Your stories are not only inspiring, but also a reminder of why we choose to endure. As we continue through Season 2, maybe let's keep these motivations pretty close to our hearts and continue to support each other on this amazing journey. If you enjoyed this bonus episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit under the Choose to Endure banner, and share your own why with the hashtags Choose to Endure and podcast. Maybe we can keep the conversation going and continue to inspire one another moving forwards. Until next time, my name is Richard Gleave, signing out. Keep running, keep pushing the limits, and most importantly, keep finding your why so that you can keep choosing to endure.